This is a whiskey that I made roughly 3 months ago, and it has no peat in the grain recipe at all. But what I did do is cold smoke it with peat. Did it work? How's it turning out now that it's getting a little bit of age under it? Let's find out, shall we? How's it going, chasers? I hope you're having a kick-ass week. I'm Jesse, this is Still It, and that is the cold smoked whiskey I made 3 months ago. If you have not seen that video and you'd like to see exactly how it was made, you can check the link out in the description down below. It was quite a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It's always nice to do something different and try, like, you know, a different technique to experiment with something new, so on and so forth. But for those of you that don't know and aren't going to watch that video, here's a quick rundown so you know what we're tasting. It is made with a whiskey kit from Still Spirits. Those kits are very simple in concept to the safety net videos that I'm making at the moment, in that part of the wash is made up of a malted barley that's been mashed. In this case, it was LME, or liquid malt extract. And then the rest of the wash is made up of sugar. And obviously, you know, being a kit and kilo kind of thing for those guys that are in the beer world, coming off the shelf from a homebrew store, it's not going to have any peat in it, okay? It's just not the way that's going to work, and I was able to have an experiment with it. So I made the kit pretty much as per instructions, but then I pumped it full of smoke. Basically, I pumped a buttload of smoke into the fermenter and had a drill mixer going down through the airlock hole to agitate it and get it all mixed up and together. So, it's been sitting for 3 months. Enough time to start to give you an idea of what it's going to do with some real age, in my opinion, but to not really be getting too aged at all. You know, I'd say maybe 6 months you start to get a little bit of that. A year, 2 years is where you really want to be, you know, for this kind of thing. So, straight off the bat, yes, I can 100% smell smoke in this. Yes, it's presenting like peat smoke, not like, you know, wood smoke, like barbecue smoke. There's always a crossover and an essence of that, but it's not woody smoke at all. It's not like hickory or oak or manuka or anything like that. And considering this is 3 months old, and a chunk of it is sugar, I'm relatively impressed. First of all, it's just the overall abundance of flavor. There's a lot going on here. And that's sort of, in my mind, broken into, I guess, 3 parts. Smoke, obviously, the wash, the barley, the recipe that we fermented, and then the wood. And the reason I say 3, not 4, is because, you know, really there's not a lot of complexity coming from age and chemical reactions happening in the whiskey itself yet. I hope that'll come with time. So let's go through those in order, shall we? Smoke. Like I said, it's there on the nose. It is low to moderate, so it's present. You know it's there. You don't have to go searching for it, but it's not clubbing you over the head. It's not the thing that stands out the most in the whiskey at any point, at any part of the experience. It's mostly present through the drinking experience as a lingering aftertaste. I don't get it so much as I'm drinking. It's not like the giant Isla experience where it's just, you know, you have to go hunting to find something other than smoke, especially if you're new to Isla whiskies. Not like that at all. The presentation of the smoke itself is more on the ashtray, old campfire side of things. So it's not that rich, earthy, kind of sweet, woody, and leaf littery kind of smoke. It's not that. It's more towards the ash and cigar side of things, which personally I quite like. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like all smoke. But in this kind of thing, that's what I'm after. So, yes, I think you 100% can cold smoke a whiskey to get it to behave like a whiskey that has smoke, you know, on the grain. Now, obviously, I cold smoked this before fermentation and before distillation. You could smoke it at any point in time. That's the beauty of a technique like that. You could ferment it and then add smoke to it. You could ferment it, distill it into low wines, and then smoke it and redistill it. You could do all of the distillations. You could do all of the distillation and then cold smoke it before aging. You could age it and then cold smoke it. And I am absolutely certain that it would present differently in each of those stages. The reason I decided to do this is because I like the classic smoke presentation in whiskey. I wasn't looking for something different in terms of flavor. I was looking for something different in terms of how to get that flavor. But I'm sure, like if you just cold smoked this jar, it would be smoky. My guess is that it would present differently to, you know, the way this one tastes. Anyway, enough of that. Moving on to what's coming through from the wash. It is malty. That's for sure. It 100% is. In my mind, it wouldn't taste like whiskey without that. It'd taste, I don't know, it's like wood-aged vodka. It's not stand out in any particular way other than there is definitely a presence of kind of that borderline between stone fruit, mostly plum, and caramelly-ish coffee. Kind of like a Starbucks coffee, you know, coffee that doesn't taste like coffee. It's sitting somewhere between those two. And I think that's partially coming from the darker specialty malts in the recipe that Still Spirits make. The other thing to note in relation to the wash, the ingredients that we used to ferment, is that I am getting the sugar bowl effect. Once again, thank you, Bearded, for explaining that way of describing it to me. On the nose, it is like someone just wafted the sugar bowl past you on the way to the person next to you asking for it for their coffee. On the mouth, it just kind of leaves a little bit of a hole in terms of flavor and mostly for me, honestly, mouth texture near the end of the experience of drinking it. It's not horrible. It's not, you know, overly influencing the whiskey overall, but it's 100% there. So I feel like I need to make sure I mention it, right? Wood. This one is riding the line between, it's on the higher end of toast and char, but not through to really heavy char. And this is kind of an eye-opener for me. Well, not an eye-opener. I've been suspecting for a while that I have erred heavily on the high side of toast and the high side of char, partially because I enjoy those flavors. I like that antique furniture shop and almondy kind of flavors in whiskey. But I've come to realize that I do that far too often. Also, team, keep in mind, look at the color of this. And you may say, wow, that's really, really dark, Jesse. But remember that you're looking through a distance that you would never look through unless you're a home distiller, right? That's a very, very fat bottle. So when you look at it here, it is definitely on the dark side of golden, but it's not fully red. It's not really, really dark. And the flavor reflects that as well. So it's sitting sort of, it's straddling vanilla, carameliness, and almondiness, if that makes sense. There's very little, there is a little bit, but there's little of that kind of raw oak flavor that you might get in, say, like a Chardonnay. It's not that kind of oak. And it's interesting too, all of those things summed up. So the flavor coming through from the malt and the flavor of the wood together is creating like a sherry-like experience, like a sherry finished product, which is pretty interesting. So anyway, back to me over charring and over toasting. It's just that I'm aware of it now. I'm aware that I do that a lot. and it makes me aware that I need to force myself to experiment with things that I don't naturally want to do, to look for outcomes that I might be missing out on. Does that make sense? I'm going to actively think about when using lower toast, lower char could be a good option, and then pounce on those options when I get a chance. And actually, I've got an example of just that. Hold on. This is going to be a video coming up very, very shortly, and it is a rye whiskey. And yes, it is white oak. Yes, it is toasted. Yes, it is charred, but I went out of my way to be a whole lot less heavy-handed than what I would normally be. This video is going to be coming up real soon, guys, so keep an eye open for that if you're interested in rye and just how much of a pain in the ass the stuff is to work with. So, I mean, basically what I'm saying here is after tasting a few different ryes, mostly what I get in ryes that I like is vanilla and caramel from the wood, not that dark, toasty almond. So I pulled it back purposefully to try and create something more appropriate for that style. And to be honest, I probably could have gone even less heavy-handed than I did. But anyway, that's a topic for another video. Hold on. But we need to say a huge, huge thank you to the Patreons. Thank you so much, Patreons, for everything that you do. The monetary aspect is greatly appreciated, but I also really, really appreciate the ability to reach out to a small, representation of the audience and be able to ask questions in a way that's manageable and get really good feedback from you guys. So thank you. Anyway, back to the cold smoked whiskey. So yes, 100% it works as a technique to get smoke into the whiskey. No, it's not the standard way of doing it. And because of that, if you wanted to, how do I put this? If you wanted to use this technique and rely on it to get known results, you would have to do a fair bit of testing in terms of standardizing the technique that you use to cold smoke, standardize the amount that you're smoking, and that's not as easy as you would think, I don't think. So yes, it's totally viable. It needs more testing. If there's anyone else out there that's doing it, please drop a comment in the comment section down below and let us know, how you're going about it and the results you're getting. And finally, this whiskey. Yeah, it's good. It's not bad. It totally does have that sugar presence. In my experience, the longer you leave stuff like this, the less that has an impact, but it never completely goes away. Do I need to do anything about this now? And actually, looking at the amount of oak in there and the taste that I'm getting off it right now. So yeah, I think it would make sense. Am I going to be able to reach with these? Just. I think it makes sense to pull some. Maybe I can't reach with them. No, not like chopsticks. I can't. It's too deep. Anyway, sorry. It does make sense in my mind to pull some of this oak out. Simply because it's been in there for 3 months, it's done its job, this extra oak has, in terms of cranking up the oak presence initially to then start reacting in solution and suspension. My word, come out of here. You. You son of a... So there we have it, guys. I will, of course, be using this wood, saving this wood to use in something else in case I need it. But if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me out a buttload. It really does. Basically, it tells YouTube that it's a good video and to show it to other people. If you don't like it, feel free to give it a dislike. But I don't know. YouTube's kind of screwed that for us. If you're really enjoying these videos and you're not subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you next time, guys. Keep on chasing the craft. See ya.